Everybody, today's video is about the quiet borderline. So I'm going to talk about a personality disorder called borderline personality disorder. They've changed the name recently, and it's called emotionally unstable personality disorder. So I'm going to kind of get into the contrast of the quiet borderline from the classic borderline, from what we usually talk about, what we usually know. I want to start by saying first that this is a very serious mental illness and it needs to be taken seriously. I'm sorry for any of you watching this video who have this disorder. Over the many years I've been studying it, I'm starting to understand the struggles you have with it, and I'm sorry. Are there any people with this disorder that would be considered quiet watching this? I'd like to know. And I'd like you to share your opinion of what you think about what I say about this. Correct me if you think I'm wrong, or just tell me that that's you or not you. Maybe help us understand how it feels for others. The people, most of them watching this video, have had relationships with someone with this disorder. And as you know, it's been very tumultuous, traumatic. They might be traumatized. This is a safe place. No one will attack you. So we know that there's a very specific diagnostic criteria for this disorder. And here in America, we use the DSM-5, Volume 5. So just to go over some of those real quick: fear of abandonment, unstable relationships, unstable self-image, impulsive behaviors, could take their own lives or self-harm, unstable mood, feelings of emptiness, problems with anger and rage, and could be paranoid and have dissociative symptoms. The classic borderline would be considered extroverted or externalized, but people considered quiet borderline may be introverted, or their feelings and their behaviors and their thoughts are internalized. So we know there's 4 subtypes of this disorder, not necessarily diagnostic, but people have broken this disorder into 4 major groups: discouraged, impulsive, petulant, and self-destructive. All borderlines may be more of one of these, but tend to vacillate. It's kind of like narcissistic personality disorder. I've heard all kinds of different groups, and they basically, throughout time, decades, it really boils down to 2 different kinds, overt and covert. But there is not any narcissist that's only covert all the time or only overt all the time. They tend to be more one than the other, but vacillate between the two. You'll notice that if any of you guys tried to put someone in a box that has these disorders and say, oh, they're more this type or this kind, very difficult to do, being that they may exhibit all behaviors of all 4 of these, okay? So when it comes to aggressiveness and anger, they may vary considerably. So here's the 4 subtypes, and I'm just going to go over a couple characteristics of each one. Impulsive, charismatic, energetic, elusive, detached, flirtatious, engaging, or motivating. That would be your impulsive borderline. Then you have the discouraged borderline. Perfectionist, successful, detached from groups, self-harm, take their own lives, feelings of loneliness and emptiness. They may be extremely codependent, clingy, needy, angry. Then you have the self-destructive, which could have addictions, have risky behaviors, from driving to sex. Self-harm, take their own lives, feelings of euphoria. Then you have the petulant, the child, the irritability, stubborn, passive aggressiveness, and severe mood swings. But the quiet borderline, I've taken some from each one. I would say elusive or detached, perfectionist possibly, detached from groups, self-harm, take their own lives, loneliness, emptiness, addictions, possibly stubbornness and passiveness. Okay? So do you see how that works? Just gets more and more confusing, right? Borderlines can have all the behaviors or vacillate between them. But I have noticed 2 major types. 2. And could be more inward or more outward. Their behaviors are more internalized or externalized. The abuse tends to be more on themselves or more on another person. That's what I've noticed. So you've got the, extroverted or the social, um, very abusive, could be very abusive towards others in relationships, extremely, from physical, emotional exploitation, stuff like this. But the quiet is directed inwards more, hurting themselves more. When we think of quiet, we think of holding feelings inside. Yeah, I think everyone in this watching these videos has some sense of that or has been like that in their life or they're like that now. Not too in touch with our feelings, don't express them very well. We've most likely had parents who neglected us and didn't encourage things like this. But the quiet borderline has an internal war inside. Anger and rage. Like I said, comes out differently. The classic, when you talk about anger, rage, the classic may yell, destroy, blame, be violent, aggressive. Where the quiet may scream inside, hit themselves, negative or self-deprecating self-talk, may have eating disorders, may be very dependent and reliant on someone else. They may be able to be alone more. They may be more secretive. The victim that cannot function, they would be the victim, true victim status. I'm a victim. They have their traumas. They'll tell you. Maybe they'll tell you when they get to know you, trust you better. But cannot function in at least one area of life besides just relationships. So taking care of themselves, possibly, work, financial commitments, obligations, major problems possibly with that. Could be. They can also be very successful. The false persona, the secrets, never tell anyone feelings, negative self-talk. Abuse is to separate. The negative self-talk that they give themselves is to separate themselves from their feelings. So major lacking self-awareness. Okay? This may look similar to what we know as dependent personality disorder. There are maybe people someone that you think is borderline may be dependent, or they may be the quiet borderline that looks dependent, meaning that they want to be cared for, and they may accept abuse to not cause any problems. More prone to long distance relationships. Very important. The classic borderline may not put up with that. That's not enough. But that might be what the quiet borderline prefers. Finding you online, talking, video, may never meet in person, and you're still traumatized. They are more likely to parentify you, exploit you financially and emotionally, more prone to silent treatments, cheating, and not physical necessarily. If they met you online, they probably have met other people online and don't tell you that they're talking to them. They may use that to exploit you, threaten you. Well, if you don't want to be with me, such and such wants to. If you don't want to take care of me, John wants to. If you don't want to marry me, Kyle will. The relationship with the quiet borderline. Avoidant behaviors, avoidant attachment style, and avoidant emotionally. What does that look like? Shallow conversations, not tell you how I feel. The more intimate we get, the more I push you away. May be quick to throw you away, abandon you, threats of abandonment, very scared, paranoid, accusations based on abandonment. You're going to leave me, you don't like me, I'm not good enough. Who are you talking to? Extreme codependency and reliance, and very common financially that I've seen over the years I've been doing this and helping people. The most common might live with toxic family, stay in toxic relationships. Not only are you dating a borderline, but you have to deal with their toxic family. Extremes of self-isolation and isolating you. Imagine a long distance relationship with a borderline. I couldn't. I have not done that. I couldn't imagine that. Imagine you going out with your friends they don't know. They may not even want you to go to work. Extremely demanding of your time and your attention. Or just throw you away for a while, be gone for a while. They can be very sweet, very nice, and show that they care. It can be extremely difficult relationship to end. I've helped many, possibly hundreds of clients end, absolve one of these dependent, sick relationships with a quiet borderline. Very difficult to end for people. Feelings of guilt and shame and doubt. The partner vulnerabilities are low self-esteem, lots of self-doubt, and obsessive compulsive thoughts and behaviors. Could have OCD. Different types of OCD, but the thoughts of morality. Should I do this? Is this wrong? Should I leave them? That's wrong. It's immoral. They need me. This is somebody who becomes completely reliant on you. And then what are you going to do? I mean, if you care for someone, right? Say you just start taking physical care of someone and they stop working and so you just keep taking care of them. You make sure they always have food and that their bills are paid. How long will it take for you to try to stop that and say, oh God, I can't do this. I've been taking care of them. What are they going to do without me? They're going to fall flat on their face. They're going to die. They're going to take their own lives. And they want you to believe that they can't do a single thing without you. Amongst many problems, not enough communication. Won't tell you. Hide it from you. Not be aware of things. Not enough deep conversations. Lowers your self-respect, your self-awareness. Your needs are not met. This will seep into other areas of your life, like work and other relationships, always there, so prominent. Financially, they may exploit you. They have problems with your work, seeps into work. Self-doubt, guilt, and shame. We lose a sense of self and our own autonomy in these relationships. The only time we put someone else's needs first is with our children before they grow up. That's it. We make sure that our children have everything they need all the time, unconditionally. And that's what some of you have done for an adult. I suggest anybody with borderline get help. Okay? Many problems if you have borderline personality disorder. Things that you can change and things that you can fix and work on. Even if you don't have your disorder go into remission, there's things we can work on. We can be more self-reliant, more self-aware, and communicate better. Anybody that's been in a relationship like this, especially recently, or you're in one now, I strongly suggest you get help. You think of, we don't want regrets, right? But this is one of the biggest. Someone who spends years of their life devoted to another human being. You cannot operate like that. We lose our friends. We lose our job. We lose money, belongings, our mind, our sense of self. Hard to recover from. Not impossible, everyone can. But more difficult too. If your relationship is dysfunctional, do everything you can to fix it or end it. And if you can't fix it, end it. I help a lot of clients with this. And what helps, the way we do it, is you need to know who you are. You need to know the things that you value, your morals. If they don't, you've compromised those. They have to. This is a way that we approach them to end the relationship. We have to have our needs met. What are your needs? How have they not been met? They have to be, or it's killing you. These are ways that we approach how we end these relationships, because I know how difficult it can be. Get help, guys. Okay? You can contact me at daviddemars.com. The link's down below. And there's many therapists and counselors that can help with this. I strongly suggest you do. I would love to know your guys' experiences. Have you dated somebody with quiet borderline, or do you know somebody with it, or do you have it? Any examples, things that you can share would be so appreciated for me, but mostly for you guys watching the video. I'm just trying to spread this information to increase awareness for people to have better quality lives. If you support this message, please do so by subscribing to the channel and liking the video and sharing it. But always ask questions, okay? And please, any examples you feel comfortable sharing, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Love yourself first, guys. Bye-bye.